Hey there, Vicki Lemons here. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. I am so glad to have you here. So in this video, I'm going to share with you, well, first of all, let me say that I just got me a new selfie stick and I take daily walks. And it's been so nice outside. I said, you know what? Let me record a few of my videos while I can enjoy the sun, get my walk in, and it'll probably allow me to record a lot more throughout the week. But so that's why you're not seeing my normal background right now. But nonetheless, this video is about how I didn't like my sister-in-law. I know. Not very nice of me, not very Christian of me, but let me share the story with you. It all started, basically, I've been married 25 years, and my husband was the first to get married. He has, it's 4 boys. His mom and dad had 4 boys. And the 4 boys, out of the 4 boys, my husband was the only one married for many years. But in our dating phase, and even in the beginning of our marriage, there were a lot of, let's just say, hoops that I had to jump in or jump through to be accepted, for people to be kind to me, for people to not treat me as if I was stealing my husband away. And I put up with a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have put up with for many years. And the only reason I put up with it was because my husband didn't have the guts, basically, to stand up to his parents, or in particular his mother, in the beginning of our marriage. He's not that man anymore. But in the beginning of our marriage, it just is what it is. He was not one to stand up for me. He was not one to really stand up for himself. And so we had to, work through that for many, many years. However, with that being said, I always try to be accommodating and respectful. And even when it wasn't reciprocated, I felt like I was under this scrutiny of being Aaron's wife. And I don't necessarily felt that they felt I was deserving. And that made me feel like I needed to prove them wrong. And so it just became this dynamic of me trying to prove to my husband at the time and his family that I'm worthy of him. When in all actuality, that wasn't anything that I needed to prove. But that comes with maturity, right? And as we get older, hopefully we mature. I always say, don't become an old fool. Anywho. So, because that standard was put upon me, I felt like anyone who any of the other brothers brought in kind of needs to fall in line with that same thought process. And if I had to do this, if I had to go through this, then you need to go through it. That's what my mindset was at the time. Now, my sister-in-law, I only have one. There's 4 boys, but only 2 are married. My sister-in-law is the complete opposite of me. But one thing we do have in common is that we're both very vocal and assertive. But I always felt like her approach was very disrespectful and it lacked tact. And I just thought that I basically felt like she needed to get in line, clean up her act if she wanted to be a part of this family that I set the standard for as far as daughter-in-law. And because I set this tone so high, because of all the stuff I had to endure, she needs to step it up so she can face it too and go through the same thing I went through, right? Long story short is, that wasn't my place. It wasn't my place to critique her and how her and my brother-in-law's relationship was. It's not my place to tell her how she should be, react, or not be disrespectful. I took it upon myself to put myself in that place, and it wasn't my place. And I took it upon myself to put myself in that place because I felt like none of them, my husband's family, they're not very vocal. So I felt like, well, I'm vocal. I need to say, yo, you're disrespectful. Why do you speak like that? Why you always got an attitude? Why you, right? But that's not my place. It's really not my place to say to her anything that pertains to her behavior, unless it's, directed to me or my children, right? But I felt entitled, and I felt like she needed to know that this is not how we behave as in-laws, and if we want to be a part of this family in a positive way. But then what I started realizing is my in-laws were allowing the behavior. So here I am, 25 years ago, trying to be the best wife, the best everything for my husband and to my in-laws and to everyone, like his family. And if you're new to my page, I don't really have a close relationship with my family. So, I was really trying to build something with my husband's family strong, initially. But what happened is that my mother-in-law, love her to death. This is a long time ago that this all started, but unfortunately, sometimes she meddles too much. And at that time, she meddled a lot. And what she would do is, she would bring up a conversation with one of us about the other one, kind of like playing us against each other. So not only was this person, my sister-in-law, not doing what she needs to do to hold up the reputation that I built as a daughter-in-law, but now y'all talking about me, she talking about me, you talking about me, is this whole dynamic. So it built up a lot of resentment and like just I don't like you behavior, energy. So recently, this is long story short. I mean, if you have any deeper questions, let me know. But recently, I went to her and, well, let me backtrack. So maybe about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we got into a really big argument, my sister-in-law and I. And I said some really nasty things, and she said some really nasty things. And what I found out is, during that time, we were the only two fighting. It didn't matter what the mother-in-law said. It didn't matter how no one reacted. It didn't matter how my brother-in-law or my husband didn't stick up for any one of us. It was just her and I kind of being put against each other, but also kind of just not clashing either, personality-wise. So we had this big fallout. And I realized how it was affecting family time, like Christmas and holidays and things. The energy was just really tense. So to make things, to smooth things over time, I ended up apologizing. For my husband's sake, honestly. At that point, that was for my husband. I ended up just letting things go and trying to build a better relationship with her. Now, that was for my husband's sake, really, because it just made the holidays too uncomfortable. And that's where we would normally spend our holidays, is at my in-laws, and so it was affecting the kids' relationship. It just was too much. So now, maybe for the last few years, couple years, we've been cordial. Hey, give hugs on holidays, blah, 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 blah. And in the last, I would say, year, it's been so much better. And she's so much more lighthearted. And I'm way more receptive, less prideful, less ego involved. And so I went to her recently, about 2 weeks ago, and I said to her, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the ways that I acted that was not becoming of someone who should have just embraced you. You didn't need to be like me. You didn't need to do the things I did. You didn't need to have my way of doing things that you didn't need to do the things I did in order for you to be worthy of acceptance and love. I was pushing off on her what was done to me. And I don't have to like her personality. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with her personality. The point I'm making is I don't have to like her personality for me to love her as a person and as my sister-in-law, and to give her respect just because she deserves respect, and she deserved to be loved on. And I denied her that for many years. I think it's important to apologize to people when you know you're wrong. And I was wrong, and I apologized. And not only did I apologize, I held her hand and I looked her in the eyes and I said, woman to woman, I'm sorry. I didn't see how at the time we were being played against each other. I didn't see how at the time I should have just loved you for you being you, right? And not try to expect you to behave the way I feel is appropriate. Why is my opinion the status of what things should be? It's not, right? Like, and that comes with growth, that comes with maturity, that comes with self-reflection, right? At the end of the day, I chose to look at why we don't get along, and I chose to see where it stemmed from. It stemmed from my own hurt. It stemmed from my own feelings of rejection, resentment. And you know the saying, hurt people hurt people. That's literally what I was doing without really knowing that's what I was doing. I just felt that at that time, if I had to do it, why she don't have to do it? I had to prove myself. I had to deal with the insults. I had to deal with being talked about behind my back. I had to deal with trying to please everyone. I had to deal with that. And why doesn't she? But the deeper question is, why did I allow it? Right? She didn't allow it, so it doesn't happen to her. But I allowed it, so it happened to me. And that's not her fault. I can't blame her because she didn't accept what I accepted. I accepted it. I went along with it, I was waiting for my husband to do something. He didn't at the time. And I held on to that. And now I understand that that was my time to say, no, you can't talk to me like that. No, we can't go there. We have, and honestly, it's also my time. I had to realize my husband lacked in the areas that would have provided a more manageable conversation. He didn't want the confrontation, and he didn't know how to express what he felt without feeling like he was being combative, or the person and people he was speaking to were being defensive. There was a lack of emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. That's not who he is now. That's not the man that he is now. But it was. It was the man that he was. And it was up to him to stop whatever mistreatment was going on with me by his family. And I felt because I endured it, she should as well. And that's wrong. That's wrong. I don't know. I'm just giving you my thoughts today. What do you think? So, by the way, I gave her a hug. I told her how much I love her and how sorry I am for all the years of back and forth, and just loved on her as I should have done in the beginning. It's just something to think about. As always, I thank you for watching, and God bless. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. God bless.